Welcome to Warhammer Warscroll Review. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at a Death Lord's Warscroll, Arkhan the Black, Mortarch of Sacrament.
Warscroll Review.
Arkhan the Black. While the other Mortarchs focus on brute strength and cunning, Arkhan relies on arcane magic. Arkhan starts out at an awesome flying 16-inch move. It reduces quite a bit as he takes damage, all the way down to 4 inches. Comparably, Arkhan is not very durable for a monster unit. 11 wounds and a 4-up save. This, along with the target on his back, will force the death player to bring along another high-value unit to saturate the opponent with targets. The model comes equipped with 4 melee weapons. The Mortarch's 2 weapons gives him 2 decent chances of doing D3 damage at Red 1. Arkhan's Abyssal Terror's Ebon Claws, on the other hand, offer up to 6 attacks depending on his health, with rend and damage 2. These attacks are pretty decent and may get Arkhan out of a pinch, but like other wizards, Arkhan really shouldn't be putting himself into too many combats. His final weapon consists of 6 Spectral Spirit attacks, meaning they deal mortal wounds on 6 to hit. Arkhan, being the great Mortarch that he is, has multiple special abilities. Feaster of Souls allows him to heal 2 wounds at the end of any combat phase in which he slew an enemy. His staff allows him to add up to +2 to cast and unbind at full wounds. Like many death heroes, he now has Deathly Invocation. Arkhan is able to pick up to 4 different summonable units to heal back D3 wounds or D3 wounds worth of models. Not only that, but because he is the Mortarch of Sacrament, he can re-roll this D3. Arkhan's Invocation affects units within 18 inches, which is pretty huge, and means it's not hard for this ability to affect the whole army. Arkhan the Black is a wizard and can attempt to cast or unbind 2 spells per hero phase. Not only does he know the basics, Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield, he has his own unique spell and knows the spells of each death wizard within 18 inches of him. His unique spell is called Curse of Fate. Casts on a 6 on a unit 18 inches away. Roll 10 dice, and for each roll of 6 the spell deals a mortal wound and rolls another die. For each roll of 5 or more, deal another mortal wound and roll another die. This continues to reduce until it deals mortal wounds on 1s. Without an FAQ, this debatably destroys the rest of the unit since it can't fail. Let me know in the comments how you roll that ability. Statistically, this will do about as much as Arcane Bolt, but there's always that chance to do quite a bit of damage. Arkhan's command ability is also focused around casting spells. First of the Mortarchs would allow him and Death Wizard within 18 inches to increase their spell range by 6 inches. This is quite handy and would increase all of Arkhan's starting spells to 24 inches. Arkhan costs 320 points plus a leader and behemoth slot. Arkhan is obviously a formidable caster, and although he is atop quite a large beast, he is a bit fragile. He should be sitting in the back with other death wizards raining down magic on the foe. Keep him out of combat in most cases, except for smaller, weaker units or times where he is well supported. Remember his ability to heal 2 wounds back if he slays models, as this can help keep him alive. It might be worth engaging a weak enemy unit with Arkhan, even if he's low on wounds, if it's likely to heal him back up. He should attempt to use his increased spell range and high movement to keep the enemy out of combat reach when possible. Also be sure to screen your Mortarch with those endless hordes of undead. Arkhan the Black got quite a few buffs with the Legion of Nagash battletome. The Mortarch can now choose one of 4 new factions: Grand Host of Nagash or the Legions of Sacrament, Blood, or Night. Each of the Legions of Nagash grant Arkhan spells from 2 different lores, the lore of the vampires and the lore of the death mages. Each lore has quite a bit to offer. Keep in mind Arkhan's command ability when choosing his additional spell. Starting with the lore of vampires, the group of spells is intended to do damage, both directly and indirectly. Blades of Shaiish is an okay spell, but it does get quite a boost by hitting every enemy unit within 18 inches instead of 12. The vampire spell that really benefits Arkhan is Amaranthine Orb. This ability would allow Arkhan to pick a point 12 inches away, or 18 inches with his command ability active. Draw a line from the caster to that point, and every unit under the line receives D6 mortal wounds on a roll of 4 up. This could be totally devastating if the opponent gets too close together. The lore of Death Mages offers up quite a few debuffing spells, as well as some damage. Overwhelming Dread, Fading Vigor, and Decrepify all offer debuffs at 18-inch range, but 24 for Arkhan. Which one you choose will likely have more to do with the particular opponent. Anything scary that has an ability that triggers on a 6 to hit or wound should be targeted with Overwhelming Dread or Decrepify respectively. Models with multiple weapons with multiple attacks, like Monstrous Cavalry, should be targeted with Fading Vigor. Spectral Grasp would also get a decent buff by firing off with an additional 6-inch range, giving Arkhan the opportunity to slow down enemies even earlier in the battle. The spell targets a terrain piece, and nearby enemy units have their movement values. Soul Harvest is another Death Mage spell and would likely be augmented the most by Arkhan's command ability. This is a decent spell, but with Arkhan's command ability, it is insanely powerful. All enemy models within 3 inches suffer D3 mortal wounds on a casting roll of 7+. After the mortal wounds, roll a D6 for each wound dealt. On a 5+, the caster heals a wound. Arkhan being able to cast this with a 9-inch range will be absolutely brutal and has the potential to really regenerate wounds. Imagine rolling a 9 or more and triggering Locus of Shaiish to cast this spell twice. While this spell is extremely powerful, don't expect to get to use it too much, as Arkhan will likely rather sit back and avoid combat and shooting. As mentioned previously, Arkhan also knows the spells of nearby death wizards, giving him even more options when placing other wizards near him, especially ones that know spells from additional death lores. This ability will likely mean having other death wizards in the army with Arkhan and keeping them nearby at all times. Apart from these spells, Arkhan would still benefit in the various Legion Allegiance abilities. To no surprise, Arkhan would benefit the most from the Legion of Sacrament's battle trait. The Black Discipline gives him an additional +1 to cast spells. Obviously, boosting Arkhan's casting value would be extremely beneficial to the Mortarch. The Mortis Engine and Corpse Cart both increase casting rolls by 1. In all, Arkhan can be manifesting spells at a +5 casting roll at full strength with these units and the Black Discipline. This combination has Arkhan auto-casting almost every spell he has access to. Due to Arkhan's aptitude for Deathless Invocation, that is being able to heal 4 units at a time and reroll the die, tougher summonable units work pretty well with Arkhan. He won't have much trouble bringing a Spirit Host or Direwolf back to life, but also could be mitigating losses in Horde units like Skeletons and Zombies. The greatest benefit to Arkhan the Black is including him in a Lords of Sacrament battalion. This Warscroll battalion is comprised of Arkhan, a Mortis Engine, and 2 or more Necromancers. The Lords of Sacrament wizards within 6 inches of the Mortis Engine would not only get +1 to their save, but they would be able to cast an additional spell. For the Necromancers, this doubles their effectiveness. With the extra spells from the Lords of the Dead, Arkhan would have access to 7 different spells. Arkhan fits as a solid wizard in a Legion of Sacrament, but is a bit limited as an ally or in a Deathgrant alliance. Losing Arkhan's command ability and not getting to choose a spell from the Lords of the Dead really decreases value, so taking him as an ally or as a second Mortarch in another Legion may be somewhat pointless. With the new Legion of Nagash battletome, Arkhan will likely be quite a bit more popular. Don't be surprised to see the Mortarch in the Lords of Sacrament battalion. If you do encounter this character, know that he cannot take a solid volley of attacks. 11 wounds will only protect him for so long, even with an increased save from Lords of Sacrament and possibly Mystic Shield. Between Soul Harvest and Feaster of Souls, it's usually a better idea to target the Mortis Engine when facing this combination, since this unit is the crux to all the augments. Arkhan the Black receives a 4 out of 5. Outside of a Legion, Arkhan is not that great, but inside one, with access to extra spells from the Lords of the Dead, he can be quite a powerful force on the tabletop. What do you think of Arkhan the Black? What Warscrolls would you like to see reviewed next on the channel? Leave your thoughts, answers, and questions in the comments below, and thanks for watching.